Hello, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. We are about to start. If you want to leave in the chat, where are you from and from where are you watching us? We're so happy to have you all here, and we would love to get to know you better. And also, if you don't mind answering the poll that should appear on your screen now. So we get to know you better, and we know if you're already an existing Real Estate IQ subscriber, and if you would like to have a one-on-one consultation of our services. So this helps us improve. We have the amazing Michael with us today talking about top 5 mistakes new real estate investors make. And we're super happy to have this topic and have this amazing speaker sharing his expertise. So we are Real Estate IQ. Your deal is our mission, and we are deal maker and dream maker. And we provide the best real estate solutions committed to help one more person to win. So make your deals come true. This is the streamline your deal making process. So these are the solutions that we provide. So we offer off-market leads. So we provide daily updated lists, Monday to Friday, of motivated sellers to contact, get the freshest data minded straight from the card houses. EVA CMA, run real estate comps in seconds with our renewed CMA. You can check each property's data, select the ones to compare, and get reports instantly. We also offer custom leads mining. So if you're looking for a specific area leads, look no further. We now provide custom off-market data mining all over 50 states. And we also offer virtual assistants. So one solution for administrative tasks, customer service, and technical support to grow your business. So let's walk together toward your success. If you're looking for more, please try our exclusive membership. So these are the social media accounts where you can follow us. We are in Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and you can use the QR codes that appear below of each icon so you can join us in our community. And you can also use the QR code that appears on the right side of the screen so you can join us in our newsletter and you don't miss any of our weekly webinars. We also offer you a one-on-one consultation, a free 30-minute in-depth consultation of Real Estate IQ's services with one of our experts. Feel free to schedule it now by scanning the QR code that appears on the screen, also by reaching bracenet@realestateIQ.co, and also by answering the poll. And we're gonna get back to you as soon as possible. This is a very short video of what we do. Okay, so we're moving forward with Michael. Thank you again, everyone, for attending. I will send you another poll that we would love to have your answer there. And also feel free to use the Q&A box and the chat box to ask Michael all the questions or concerns you may have, so he's able to answer them as soon as possible during the webinar. So thank you, Michael, again. Moving forward to you.
Wonderful. All right, guys. So let me share my screen here. And there we go. All right. So guys, welcome today's episode. I feel like I'm on a soap opera now, Today's topic is going to be the 5 biggest REI mistakes that I see new investors make. So this is based off of 8 years of being a full-time real estate investors. And guys, I promise you, this is not me looking down on you. I promise you, I have made these mistakes myself. I've learned from them, and I've probably made a million more mistakes than you. So I am just sharing my personal experience with you. For those of you who don't know me, guys, I have personally knocked on tens of thousands of doors and talked to sellers. I was door knocking 7 days a week. When I started 8 years ago, we didn't have skip traced phone numbers and all that stuff. I've been doing it almost 8 years now. Before that, I've got 25 years of professional experience in the corporate world. I've been teaching REI classes now for about 6 years. In fact, I have another class coming up this Saturday, a free class that I'm teaching on overcoming objections. If you go to mojomichael.com, we'll have information there. And I originally started out as Briarcourt Homes. We've done deals from $5,000 to $30 million mixed use. Briarcourt is still there, but the Mojo Michael Concierge Service is something that is the system that I've been using to great success. And I kept having people asking me to make it outward facing so others could use it. So we've done that. You can subscribe there on facebook.com/Mojo REI for upcoming events. Guys, let me just tell you a little bit about Mojo real quick, and then we're going to get into the meat of this. As I mentioned, people have asked for it. What we do is we'll partner with somebody like you and a Real Estate IQ. You subscribe to Real Estate IQ, you get your lists. We're going to upload those lists into our CRM. The calls are going to be recorded. The texting is going to be recorded. You can do mailings from our CRM. I have personally hired and trained every single person on my team. And I will tell you, we are launching a new functionality in our CRM next week. It should be. We are going to be the only platform in the market that offers this functionality that we're going to be offering. It's really going to be kind of a game changer. We also offer, as part of the concierge service, deal analysis, negotiation, exit strategies, a personal power team. I personally have a buyer's list of over 52,000 now. So when you look at what we charge on monthly for that, it's about a quarter of the cost of what you would need to spend on a realistic mailing campaign. So check that out. Don't waste time doing minimum wage activities. You guys should not be the ones door knocking. You should not be the ones trying to make the cold calls. That is not a scalable to success. And if you do sign up, there's a little box that says, how'd you hear about us? If you enter REIQ coupon, we're going to give you a $50 credit on your first month. So, all right, let's get into the good stuff, guys. Please ask questions. For those of you who've attended my other classes, you know I love it when you ask me questions. It makes it much more engaging for me. So ask away. You can either ask during the class or after the class, whatever works for you. Guys, this is a big one. Be true to you. What do I mean by that? I hope that you find some things useful in today's presentation. You take them, you use them. I hope you go to other presentations and other classes and you learn other stuff that works for you, and take a little bit from each person and find what fits your personality and your character. Because when you do that and you're being true to who you are, the sellers pick up on that, and you're going to be much more successful than if you just read from a script or talk like a robot or don't know what you're saying, but you're saying it because somebody told you to say it. It makes a difference, guys. So be true to you in everything that you do. And this is a big one. Integrity is everything. This is a small industry. People talk. I have a blacklist of people I won't work with. Everybody else I know has a blacklist of people they won't work with. We talk. You want to make sure you don't end up on that list. So always act ethically and true and do what's right. All right. So let's talk about being a real estate investor. What are the objectives? It's to get contracts, right? Educate owners, typically more in line with residential than commercial. And it's to make money. If anybody doesn't say that near the top of the list, they're not being truthful to you. When everybody says, oh, I'm here to help people. Yeah, well, of course we are. But But guys, you're not going to help people if you're losing money every year or you're not making any money, right? You got to make money and have fun. You can absolutely have fun at this business, even though it's really hard and really challenging. I love this business and I hope that you will grow to love it as well. All right, guys, really loaded trick question here. Who thinks that you're a real estate investor? And it's not as a simple question as you think it is. I don't think I'm a real estate investor. You are a psychiatrist. That is what you are. And if you think you're a real estate investor, you will not be successful at this business. If you understand that you're a psychiatrist in how you deal with sellers, how you overcome their objections, how you deal with them in terms of positive and negative, carrot and stick, you will be much more successful for it. And I'm reminded when I was in grad school, we talked about the McDonald's example. And I'll never forget way back there, 20 years ago, whatever that was. I had done a case study on, and the CEO of McDonald's had done a speech, and he said, who here thinks that McDonald's is in the food business? And of course, everybody raised their hand. He said, no, we're not. We're in the land business. We're in the real estate business. Our job is to own the land where franchisees are going to want to build the McDonald's. That's where they make their money. So that example ties into, don't think you're a real estate investor, you're a psychiatrist. All right, some Mojo Michael random tips before we get into the good stuff. Guys, please, when you email people, use a signature. I sent an email out to my buyers list last week on a deal in Austin, and I immediately break it out. Everybody who simply responds and says, send me info, because I probably usually get 1 to 200 email responses as soon as I hit that send button. I'll deal with them in a couple of days. Everybody who actually has a signature, so I know who they are, what their phone number is, what company they're with, are they legit, and are they professional enough to know to have a signature? Those people get my first responses. So use a signature in your emails. I hate it when somebody emails me and I need to call them for some reason and they don't have a phone number listed. When you call and you talk to somebody on the phone, this is going to sound petty, but it is true. It is amazing the number of people who will call and just start talking to you like you know who they are. Guys, say, every time I call, hey, this is Michael. Oh, okay. So just be professional, say who you are. It's a good way to do it. Don't be one of those people that when you're talking, and again, guys, these are just some random tips, okay? These aren't the top 5. Some random tips. I hear people will call me up, oh, Michael, I got this lead, and I told the seller we'd pay cash. And I'm thinking to myself, why? That's not a differentiator. Everybody's going to pay cash. And even if you get a loan, the seller is still going to get cash. So you don't need to offer stuff up that's not applicable to helping to move the needle forward. Otherwise, it's just, noise. So don't be, another one is quick close. Oh, I can close in 7 days. Well, why? Why would you want to do that? It's not going to give title time for the most part to run what they need to do, for you to do your due diligence. If you're going to wholesale it, you can't really wholesale it in 7 days. So don't offer that stuff up unless you're really prepared to do it. Well, see, I'm talking ahead of my points. And use a real email address. I will tell you that there are a lot of people that have got really rude email addresses that are not safe for work. And I usually don't even respond to people like that. So if you're going to use a Gmail or Hotmail or whatever it is, I use an actual .com for my email address, Michael at mojomichael.com. But if you're going to use a Gmail or something like that, have it be professional. All right. All right. Many of you know my wife is an appraiser. And if you want to see her head spin 360 degrees on her body like in an alien movie, tell her you derived your ARV solely using dollars per square foot or just a CMA. Guys, if that is your sole metric, it is worthless. And if you don't believe me, let me leave you with this parting thought. If CMAs and dollars per square foot are so accurate, why is it that every time you go to buy a house and you take money out, the lender requires what? an appraiser. An appraiser. If CMAs and broker price opinions were so accurate, they'd save themselves the hassle. Now, you can certainly use a CMA as one of your metrics, but don't use dollars per square foot as your only metric. And I'm happy to tell you offline why. All right, guys. Number one biggest mistake, blaming leads. Guys, this is not an easy business. This is not like what you see on HGTV. You're not going to buy a house at auction, sight unseen, for 40 cents on the dollar and realize that you need a new kitchen and get a whole new kitchen done for $7,000 with appliances like they do on HGTV. Not going to happen. So just as much, if anybody has sold you a bill of goods and told you that people facing foreclosure, and right now I'm talking about motivated leads. So foreclosure, substituted trustee leads, notice of default leads, things like that. If anybody's telling you that these people are going to be excited to hear from you and they're going to be excited to sell their house, they're lying to you. What is the difference between a successful and an unsuccessful investor? Remember earlier I was talking about the psychology, guys? It is up to you to overcome their objections. It is up to you to figure out how to move that needle from they don't want to sell, this pendulum from they don't want to sell, to the pendulum being on the other side of realizing they have to sell. If you can't do that, that's not the fault of the leads. That's because there are plenty of people that are turning these same leads that you're blaming into deals. So don't blame the leads. Instead, do what I did. Guys, I couldn't close anything when I first started. Oh, I was so horrible at it. I was so horrible. You compare and contrast that now. I've closed my last 251 deals in a row on the phone. In fact, I just bought another house 2 weeks ago. I haven't even stepped foot in it. Never personally stepped foot in it. It's not because I'm smart or better. It's because for years I was extremely self-critical. I would overanalyze every interaction I had with somebody on the phone, every interaction with somebody in person. I was blaming the leads. Guys, don't be lazy. It's not the lead's fault. It's your fault. And get help. Partner with people. Read books. Learn how to use the psychology so that you can turn those leads into deals. Again, there's the big dot right there. The difference between a deal and no deal is the investor. It's not the lead. 9 times out of 10. Okay, because even if it's upside down, you can still short sale it, right? But only if you get them to agree to it. All right, guys. Number 2. Another big mistake. These are in no particular order of mistakes that I see investors making is they are not marketing correctly. Guys, there are thousands, just in Texas alone, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of investors. Most of them are not full-time. Most of them don't take this very seriously. A lot of them are just sending letters or calls or texts or whatever. That's noise that you need to break through. So if you try this for just 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, and you don't get your first deal and you give up, you're just like every other investor out there. Guys, it took me like 8 months, 9 months to get my first deal. If I had given up, I wouldn't be here today. And you don't need to do 1 million deals a year. If I wholesale a deal, if I don't fix and flip it or buy and hold it, if I wholesale a deal on average, we net between $40,000 and $120,000 per wholesale. Guys, you only need 1 or 2 of those a year to turn your life around. So even if it takes you 8 months to get it, what do you care at $50,000, $60,000? That's huge. Even if you spent $20,000 in marketing, you're still $40,000 ahead of the game. Door knocking is not a scalable path to success. And I call this the G example because there's somebody whose name begins with the G, and he door knocks and he gets all these crappy deals under contract for 100 and 150,000 more than they're worth. He never closes on any of them. And all he does is spin his wheels, spin his wheels, spin his wheels, getting all these crappy contracts, and they don't close on them. Guys, don't be like that. You want to get better deals under contract that you stand a better chance of closing on. The key isn't how many contracts you get. The key is how many you close on. That's like saying, well, we should have run the baseball game. I mean, yeah, the other team scored more runs, but we had more hits. That's not how the score is kept. So we got to get you closing on deals, making money on deals. And when I say it's not scalable, because if you're the one door knocking or cold calling, you have to do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these a week, every single week. You're not going to work a 9 to 5 job and come home and hit the phone 4 hours a day, every day, or go out door knocking in rain, sleet, sun, shining, whatever it is, like I used to. And guys, it was not fun. And think you're going to walk into deals unless you're prepared to do it 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. All right, we covered that. So what I'm saying is you need a massive, scalable marketing plan. That's why, again, that's why I use my own Mojo, because we're doing that hundreds and hundreds of calls a week. You simply have a warm appointment sent to you. You're not the one doing the minimum wage activity. So whatever you decide to do, if you're going to be doing mailings, guys, you're going to need to spend $4,000 or $5,000 a month in mailings on a scalable path. Also, don't be, I don't want to get to that point yet, just in case. I can't remember if I added that bullet. I think that was a bonus bullet, so we'll wait for that. All right. Number 3, guys. Again, remember, if you have any questions, put them in the comments or we can talk at the end. Failure to use in Texas a TREC contract. You need to learn, use, and understand the appropriate TREC contracts. It protects the seller and the buyer. You need to understand the addendums and the amendments and what they're for and what the differences are and how to use them. They all have time obligations in which you need to perform, the seller needs to perform, things of that nature. And you have to understand, this is not a game. Failure to perform has legal consequences. I have successfully sued people who have not followed through on contracts. In fact, right now, we just served a Keller Williams agent in Dallas with a $300,000 lawsuit. She tortiously interfered with the contract I had. She swooped in a week before the sale and convinced the seller to not perform and found him another buyer so that she could make a commission. And so we're suing her for $300,000. That's what I'm saying, guys. This is not fun and games. It's a great business, but understand there are legal ramifications for what you do. And the TREC contract help protects everybody. I will tell you, when I go up against other investors who use non-TREC contracts, I have a 100% success rate in convincing that seller to not go with them and instead to go with me. Use it to your advantage. It's really intimidating at first. I think it's like 12 pages. Guys, after you fill it out twice, you'll know it like the back of your hand. Okay? Remember, contracting is just the beginning of actually closing the deal. The easy part's done. Once you get the contract done, that's the easy part, guys. Now you really got to start making sure you did your due diligence. You need to start managing your seller. You need to start, if you're, you need to start getting your monies in as you're required to do. You need to do all that, which I talk more about in my class on Saturday. But just know that getting the contract is the beginning of closing the deal. It's not the end. Oh, here's a good one. Don't go solo until there are issues. I use Alan Seshker, an attorney-owned title office. The reason being is if I use him for everything, like I've got an issue with something I closed on a sub-2 deal 2 weeks ago. I've got an issue with He's already involved. I don't need to say, well, I didn't use you, but now can I sort of use you, and can I pay you extra? Same thing with partnering. Don't try and be a solo newbie who doesn't know what you're doing and being greedy and trying to keep all the money to yourself and then bring in an expert when all of a sudden there's a problem. Usually at that point, it's almost too late. And manage your seller and the title company. I'll get to that in a minute. Role of the title company, number 4. Guys, the title company are not coaches. They are not here to guide you through stuff. They are a neutral third party. They are there to make sure that everything that the contract says happens. If you don't know how to fill out a check or you don't know what you're doing, they're not the people to reach out to. You need to partner with people who can help you or find the resources elsewhere. You have to help them help you. If they ask you for info, get them the info right away. Be proactive. Don't make them chase you down for stuff. Helping them helps them, but in return, it helps you infinitely more. And remember, when you reach out to them, not every request you have is an emergency. I know I'm impulsive. I need answers right away and all that stuff. But guys, they're a title company. You know what? They're probably closing deals. They're probably in a closing so be patient with them, build good rapport, build a relationship with them. And that is going to go a long way to helping you be more successful, understanding what their role is and building a good working relationship with them. As I mentioned, I partner with Seshker Title and Law. All right, we touched on this a little bit earlier. Number 5 is a moral, ethical, and legal obligation. And this is a big one. And remember, guys, your legal obligation may be here, but your moral and ethical obligation is here. And let me give you a real life example before I get into these bullets. And I don't think I'm talking ahead on the bullets, but there was an investor who would come to me. He said, Michael, I just got this deal under contract yesterday. I think I want to wholesale it with you to your 52,000 buyers. Take a look at it. So I took a look at it. I got right back to him. I said, this is a horrible deal. There's no deal here. You need to terminate immediately because you have it under contract for 30 days. 30 days brings it up right to the foreclosure date. There's no way you're going to perform on this. Terminate, cut bait, let the seller find somebody who may actually be willing to perform. Get a call 27 days later from this investor. And he said, oh yeah, Michael, I'm looking at this deal again. I said, what do you mean? I already told you. He said, yeah, I've been busy. I just got around to getting back to it. I'm still within my 30-day option period. I probably won't end up going through with it. And I was mad at him. I said, you just messed up these people's lives. You had no intention of performing this whole time. You just made them go into foreclosure. And although, guys, he was legally within bounds, he was morally and ethically out of bounds. And there's a big difference there. And I promise you, what goes around comes around. So when you get something, I prefer to do my analysis before I get it under contract. That way I'm getting it under contract at real numbers. I'm not one of these people who will get a deal under contract at any price and then try and renegotiate later, knowing that I'm never going to perform on it. Guys, that's not cool. And not only that, you've pissed off the seller. You have less leverage from a negotiation point of view. Do your analysis up front. Now, I'm not talking about if you do a good faith analysis and you go and find out that what the seller told you was dead wrong. That's totally legit. I mean, then you got to do what you got to do, but do a proper analysis and stick to the numbers. Guys, I had somebody the other day on my wholesale. He goes, where's your CMA for this? And I turned to her, I said, I don't want to give you a CMA. I said, I'll give you a CMA. I said, but you need to do your own due diligence. Don't trust my numbers. Don't trust what my rehab number is. This is what my GC would do to my level of finish out to what I think is right. I guarantee you it's probably going to be different than your number. Your number may be higher or lower. So never trust any numbers that a seller gives you or that a wholesaler gives you. Do your own due diligence. And it was funny because I had one guy, he actually responded to, and he goes, well, I want to virtually wholesale this. And based off my analysis, this needs 20 to 25,000 in rehab. And I practically choked on my Diet Coke. It needs 90,000 in rehab. I responded to him. I said, well, first of all, I don't do virtual wholesales. And second of all, I don't know where you pulled 20 or 25,000 out of thin air from. But guys, think about it. That's what he's now going to be telling his end buyers, which is a number that's completely false. Don't be a motivated buyer. Please don't be a motivated buyer. Don't believe me? All you got to do is look at the foreclosure list. Look at all the LLCs you see on there. Those are people that either didn't do their proper due diligence, got it under contract for too high, were a motivated buyer, and now they're being foreclosed on. I don't want to see that happen to you. This is a big one. And I touched on this a second ago. Different investors have different costs. The number that I'm willing to pay for a house is probably going to be different than the number that you're going to be willing to pay for a house because we have different costs. We have different exit strategies. If I'm going to buy and hold it, or if it's going to be my homestead, I can pay a lot more than somebody who's looking to wholesale it. So just because you didn't get the deal and somebody outbid you, that doesn't mean your numbers were necessarily wrong. I mean, they may have been. You got to go back and analyze. Your numbers may have been true for your exit strategy. Just means that they may have had a different exit strategy, or they very well may have likely overpaid, in which case goes back to my previous point. You're going to see them on the foreclosure list. And I think I already touched on that one. Okay. Yes, we did. All right, guys, I'm trying to get through this fairly quickly. I'm trying to keep this to within 40 minutes. That way we have time to answer questions. Here is the bonus. Couldn't keep it down to just 5. So here's the bonus. Big mistake, singular, that I see investors make. Guys, don't get suckered into becoming a bird dog. What do I mean? I see this. Oh, you're a newbie. Let me take you under my wing. I'll give you free access to my CRM. I'll even skirt the rules and I'll give out either free access to a list provider or I'll even resell that list, violating the licensing. And I'll give it to you for cheap, but you make all the calls or you do the door knocking. You find anything, you call me and put all your notes into my CRM and I'll send you leads, every week or whatever from this list that I shouldn't be. Guys, now you've just become their bird dog. You're now partaking in likely the illegal use of a list. I actually know an investor who had done that, and he got hit with a $50,000 demand notice because they found out what he was doing with the list. But all you've done now is you're going to be like, oh, I'm so thankful to him. Why? He's taking advantage of you or she's taking advantage of you. Be your own investor. You can do this. Now, that's different than something like where we're going to go out and we're going to get the appointments for you. We're going to give you those warm appointments. It's your list. It's your lead. You do what you want. You can part with whomever you want. It's your CRM. You own it. You're not a bird dog. You're an investor. So whatever you decide to do, don't go down that slippery slope of thinking somebody's helping you when they're actually taking advantage of you. I see it all the time. And again, don't use other people's lists. I can't stress that enough. Get your list through a Real Estate IQ or a legit list provider. They're your leads. They're your list. You have a legal right to use them. You're within the licensing. You're doing everything correct. Don't let it come back and bite you in the butt. And remember, contracts are not equal to deals. Somebody can say, I get all this contract, I get this contract, I get the, okay, well, you look, I was just visiting my 6-year-old nephew, guys. He can get as many contracts as anybody on this planet. All he's gonna do is agree to a crappy price. I could get 4 contracts tomorrow. All I got to do is agree to a crappy price and put it under contract. And then, oh, brag, I got 4 contracts. Look at me. Not really. It's not equal to deals. All that matters is how much money did you make? And you're not making money when you're wasting your time on these bad contracts. Except for once in my entire 8-year career, I have never, ever, ever, ever been the highest offer. I get the deals. And the only reason why I was the highest offer that time is because I knew it. I already had everything lined up. It was worth it. We still made good money on it. But I am never the highest offer. And you don't need to be either. You got to build the rapport. You've got to be what? A psychiatrist. That's how you get the deals. Don't make the blacklist, people. Be honest, be ethical, be true to you, do right by your sellers, do right by your buyers, do right by your title companies. It's not hard. It's not hard. Reputation is everything. Guys, what questions do we have? Let me see if I can see. All right. I can't see any of that stuff. So let me see if I can see questions. There we go. I got to do this for now.
Thank you,
Okay.
Michael.
Yeah, thank you. Can you help me see if we have any questions?
No, at the moment we don't have any. That's why I didn't interrupt you before.
Okay.
But everyone feel free to ask all the questions that you may have, so Michael is able to answer them.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I left plenty of time for you guys. And if you guys even want to unmute, if they can unmute themselves, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, of course. I'm also sharing a poll that maybe help you with that it's like if people like the topic, and also maybe what other topic would you be interested in seeing more? So we
Yes.
also get to know
And the
there is
class this
something.
Saturday, I'm going to be talking about overcoming objections. What are the most common objections? What to say, how to say it. And again, that's a free class, guys. Either I covered everything or I put everybody to sleep. I'm not sure which.
Maybe the last one. If you want to maybe leave in the chat or tell me so I can write down on the chat more about your class on Saturday, how can people register maybe, or
Yes.
maybe
So
reaching you on email?
absolutely, guys. My email is down below, michael@mojomichael.com. It's going to be held in the Plano, Texas area. Please just email me. I'm happy to send you all the details. And what we're doing is for everybody who drives in from outside of DFW, we have a dinner right afterwards. I mean, obviously you have to pay for your own food, but I've been doing this class for 6 years and it's always a lot of fun. I see a red chat. Did somebody ask something?
Yes,
So that's
Bianca asked if there will be access to the recording, so I'm answering her. So we can share the recording for everyone that wants to have it.
wonderful.
So Tammy asked, how do you determine rehab cost?
Okay, so there is no easy formula to that, Tammy. What I will say is that I think the biggest mistake most people make is that they over improve the house and they improve it to what they want it to be versus what's right for the area. So what do I mean by that? If you're in a lower priced area and everything is Formica countertops and cheap tile floor, and it's got white washers and white appliances. You want to do that low end finish out. Don't over improve it. Improve it just enough to get it to where you need to be. You got to look at your bigger ticket items. You have to worry about foundation, roof. I typically, when I'm talking to sellers, I'm going to ask them, I'm not going to ask them, is the roof fine? I mean, they're all going to say yes. I'm going to say, how old is the roof? How old is the HVAC? How old is the hot water tank? Because it may be working fine, but if the roof is 12 years old and the HVAC is 20 years old and the hot water tank is 10 years old, you've got some pretty big expenses coming up. So that is what I'll do in regards to that. You also have to understand, for instance, if there were a lot of pets and they urinated everywhere, you may have to go down to the slab and bleach out the slab. I had one guy, the house was fine, but they smoked so much weed. It was $50,000 in having to redo everything because that smoke was in the cabinets, it was in the molding, it just permeated everything. So when in doubt, bring maybe 2 or 3 GCs, unless there's one that you really, really trust, get different estimates from them, look around what the surrounding houses have, what they're going for, and don't over improve, Tammy.
Thank you, Michael, for answering that. Bianca
Yeah.
also has a question. She's asking if she should replace the kitchen cabinets if they are old but still functional, or with a new coat of paint suffice.
If it's a lower end finish out and they work fine, maybe just change the hardware and give them a nice coat of paint. If you're looking for a higher end finish out, again, look on Zillow, see what the houses listed around it have. What have they done? That's really going to tell you what's expected of that, Bianca, and go right up to that standard without going anything over.
That's great. Thank you. Feel free, everybody, to ask all the questions. You can use the chat as Tammy and Bianca did, or also the Q&A box, as you prefer. You
Yes.
can also unmute yourself, as Michael said, if you prefer to ask them out loud. Just take advantage that Michael is still here, so you don't have any concerns left.
And guys, also feel free to email me down below, reach out to me. I'm happy to chat with you in regards to any of the topics or anything like that. I will tell you, I'm going to say it again, guys, get your marketing going. You need to be talking to multiple warm appointments a week because you need to get your skills up. Okay, how to get funding. I actually can see it now. How to get funding for a new business as a new investor. Well, I mean, I don't know if you're saying, are you trying to go to a bank to get a loan to start the business? You don't need to do that. Your best bet is to, when you have deals, find investors that can fund your deals and have them take a first lien position, make them profit sharing, whatever it is, join your local RIAs. There are a lot of ways where you can use OPM, other people's money, to get these deals. If you have a 401k, you can turn that into a self-directed IRA, and then you can manage that money. There's a lot of different ways you can access the money, but traditionally speaking, to go to a bank and try and get money like you're trying to open a car wash, let's say, is not how you would do it. If you may have a home equity loan, you can get money off of that. There's a lot of different ways. You may also want to just wholesale your first couple of deals and just make some fast money, get some money in the bank. All right, that was a very good question. What else we got, guys? I know it's cold here in Texas, but come on, holy moly. All right, if you were to finish rehab at the end of a builder's risks insurance with hard money lender, do you refinance if house is not under contract yet? That's solely going to depend, Tammy, on what your loan is and what your loan states as to time frame and monies and stuff like that. So that's really going to be dependent on that. I will tell you, always err on the side of how long you think it's going to take and how much you think it's going to cost. I promise you it will most likely take longer and cost more than you think it will. So always have that padding. Should I have an LLC to buy my first investment single home property? Whatever you do, whatever you do, whatever you do. And the guy I gave, the G example I gave, he does this. He has people put contracts in their own personal name. For the love of God and everything that is holy, do not put these contracts in your personal name. Absolutely get an LLC set up and engage in the contracts under the LLC's name. Please do not do it in your own personal name. And if you really want to get fancy, I'm happy if you guys email me, I can put you in touch with who we use to do all that for us. And they take care of all of that for us. If you really want to get fancy, you end up getting different LLCs for each property to protect your assets. How to find the private money lenders. Local RIAs is a good way to do that. Coming to REI classes is a good way to do it. Network, that is the best way to do it. And which state do you think is best for LLC? Nevada, Wyoming. Nevada and Wyoming, I think Wyoming is cheaper than Nevada. You could do either one of those. I have them in Nevada, Wyoming, and Texas. I have them in all three. What is the decent going rate for hard money lender? Upfront points. It is going to depend on your amount of experience. It is absolutely going to depend on your amount of experience. It's going to depend on, is there a profit split? It's going to depend, do they have an equity share? So there's a lot of variables. Tammy, I would tell you that you're probably, if you're not an experienced investor, you're somewhere in the 12% rate range. With several points up front, just shooting off my hip. But again, it's going to depend what you work out with it. So if they're like actually involved with the deal and they're GCing and they're making money on the GCing and then you're going to split it, there's just so many ways to slice and dice it. Whatever you do, make sure you have a legitimate, fully detailed JV that was written up by an attorney. All right, what's the best method to find good tenants? I haven't got a clue. I let my property managers deal with all that. Man, I'm not trying to be flippant. That's their job. They vet them. They do credit checks on them. They do criminal background checks on them. I am not, actually, there's only one property we have that we are the property manager on because it's in a vacation area and all the property managers around that are it's an outlier from where the rest of our homes are, and we haven't found a good property manager there. And it's a headache. So hire a property manager. That's the takeaway. What's a JV? Joint venture. You want it spelled out. What's going on? Like, even if somebody tries to Tammy, if somebody wants to wholesale with me and say, Michael, we got the lead through your Mojo. You helped us negotiate it and get it under contract. We want to wholesale it with you and make some fast money. I send them, in that instance, a half-page JV. What's the property address? What's the plan? The plan is going to be to wholesale it. What's the split? The split is going to be to split the net proceeds 50-50. When do we get paid? We all get paid on the HUD at time of closing. So on something like that, that's easy. You can just do a down and dirty one. But when you start getting into lending money and fixing and flipping, you want to spend a couple of $100 and have a lawyer do it. Well, I think everybody's coffee kicked in at once. Great questions. All right, guys, anything else you can think of? Why most wholesalers don't like to do a JV with any wholesalers or realtors who can bring investors. Well, I can't speak for other people. I can only tell you that in my 8 years, only once have I ever had what I'm going to call a virtual wholesaler actually be worthwhile and bring me a buyer. So what I say is, if let's say I'm wholesaling a property at 300,000, I'm not going to JV with anybody. in terms of another wholesaler. What I'm gonna say to them is you go out and you market it to your list for more money than mine. And whatever that difference is, that delta, that's your money. So if I'm assigning it at 300 and you find a buyer at 310, the difference between 300 and 310 is yours. But I'll never JV with another investor. There's no need to. There's no reason to. They can bring their own buyer and they can put their money on top. All right, guys. Doing fix and flip in my LLC. Lender still wanted personal info. Tammy, again, it depends on who your lender is and what they want and all that stuff. I mean, you have to remember they want upfront. I mean, they want to know who they're doing business with. I would do the same thing. I would absolutely do the same thing. I want to know where my money's going. I want to know what the dealio is with it. I want my money back. You know? Do you put washer and dryers in your rental units? Refrigerator? Yes, I do. I have that in mind. Actually, I take that back. One of the houses I didn't. In the duplexes I do, in the houses I didn't. And what I did is I negotiated in that the tenant bought their own and I gave them like a $300 credit. Good questions, guys. Good questions. Under what scenario would lender not need personal info? Tammy, you got to talk to your lenders. I'm not trying to not answer the question for you. You're asking me to make blanket statements here for every lender, and I can't. A lot of these people are lending out of their own 401. A lot of them may be institutional lenders. It's their money. They set the rules. The person with the money makes all the rules. So. All right, guys, what else? Anything else? Does that bring us up to the almost 7 o'clock mark? All right, guys, if you have any questions, please email me. Would love to chat with you. Please check out mojomichael.com. On average, we're getting our clients between 2 and 6 appointments per week. January's been a quieter month, as is normal. December's been a quieter month, as is normal. But that is typically on average what we see throughout the year. So I would love to help you start getting deals. And thank you, Bianca, for saying thank you. Thank you to everybody else. And everybody have a great night and have fun being an investor and a psychiatrist.
Thank you, Michael. You're amazing. Thank you, everybody, for attending today, and we expect you future webinars. Same for you, Michael.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.